Sorry about 9:06. Was trying to get things organized and stuff. Welcome back to Office HD for all of us. It's a Tuesday, and it's just a lot of news on Tuesday. As we're getting ready for all the notes and everything, and trying to prep the show in whatever form it's going to take. Tuesday seems to be a big news day. Morning, Alex. And it's a lot of different newsy things. Obviously, we'll go back and we'll look at the rest of Major League Soccer and what happened this past weekend. Also, if there's anything left over from the discussion yesterday that we had involving Atlanta United, that's on the table as well. Whatever's on your mind. The Euro for 2028, all of that has been discussed. That is now laid out. We know where folks are going to be, the markets. Somebody has turned down the automatic bid. I guess they want to work their way into the competition. And there's Lionel Messi on the board. There's CR38 on the board. There's plenty to talk about this morning. And this, like I said, since it's a Tuesday, topics could be all over the place. And I know that there are other things that when Jarrett drops in, I want to talk to him about VAR and how Scandinavia hates it and how Ange isn't a fan of it. So there's plenty of that. There's more fallout, if you want to call it that, from a possible coaching hire and how it is now attached to one of the new minority owners of this particular franchise. So we'll see. We'll see what that looks like. Michael, yep. And so this also presents a forum for all of you to vent at Philly. And if Rich dives in this morning, then we can sit there and everybody can point at everybody in Philadelphia. Considering what happened last night in Game 2, Braves weren't getting any hits for nothing. Then you get one. Then you get a 2-run homer. Then you get another 2-run homer. And then you get a double play to end it, which was absolutely ridiculous. Austin Riley, a lot of credit on a lot of different levels last night. So well done. Well done there. Yes, and Hutch, you do mention a retirement. So we do have retirements down here this morning. And we will discuss that particular individual. As well, and his place and where it is, and we can get into Pantheon discussions, those kinds of things, if you would like. But yep, we do have a retirement to discuss this morning, and when dude was on, he was on. All I'm going to say is that when Eden Hazard was on, he was on. When he was off and looked like he was hanging out more at the training table and the meal plan than he was working out, then it was off. Tremendously talented, and it did not, much like everything else, did not end well. We'll go back over the numbers because it was really interesting to see just the dichotomy of the activity that Eden Hazard had in the last handful of years in his career when he was sitting basically at Real Madrid. So we'll get into that as well. But yes, morning, Alex, morning, Michael, morning, Hutch, and morning to all of you who are hanging out with us this morning here on SDH. Once again, available not just on Twitch. Twitch is kind of like our base of operations. Facebook, Twitch, the 280 character app, and you can go back and watch it on any and all of those platforms. Don't forget to download the SDH app, available iOS and Android. If you have not, you can go to our friends at Spreaker. It's like speaker with an R right in the middle. R. So it's not a mirror for you. It's a mirror for me. And then you do the Soccer Down Here search, and you can favorite it, and then you can listen to us iOS and Android there. Now, opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Oh, man, I knew there was something I forgot. Oh, we'll figure that out in hour number 2. We won't have to worry about it because there's your QR code. For those of you who are watching on Twitch and on Facebook and on the 280 character app, don't forget to use that QR code. And thanks to everybody who has started their day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And what you can do is use that QR code, use the code Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth game and youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. I don't know if this is just convenience or, friendly fire. Of course you can, Jordan. We will. But get this. Tom Brady, naturally you become part owner at Birmingham City. Everybody's like, ooh, shiny object, Tom Brady. Ooh, yay. Tom Brady's a minority owner in our club. Now, with what we were discussing yesterday, and as many as 13 individuals who could be looking for work out of Major League Soccer by the end of this season from a managerial standpoint. One of them, which turned into number 9, Wayne Rooney, allegedly, possibly, probably, maybe named at Birmingham City in short order. They weren't happy with John Eustace. He was 6th. He goes from 17th and saving the club from relegation with 3 matches to go to being 6th this year. 6th. And the American owners, and once again, this will really sit there, and this will really sit well with folks. American owners being the ugly American, who knew? But right now, Birmingham City, after the first 11 matches of the season, is in 6th place. It's 46-match schedule, so you're at the quarter pole. And yes, I will stipulate that the championship overseas is a street fight. I will stipulate to that because 3rd through 10th is separated by 3 points. 6th and 15th is separated by 3 points. 6th and 17th is separated by 5. So yes, it's a street fight. It will be. But Birmingham City is 6th. They decided that they were going to jettison John Eustace. Tom Brady walks in the door as a new minority owner, shortly joins the club. Yes, and we'll get into that too, Michael. So you see what's going on with Birmingham. So Sunday, rumors were going to sack John Eustace. It happened, and it is alleged, possibly, probably, maybe, that Wayne Rooney is going to take over. Should be by the end of the week. Now, you have fans who are misplacing their anger. Quotes like this on the 280-character app. I'll be devastated if they don't give Eustace till the end of the season. Don't do it. Well, this one's obviously too late. I'm a Birmingham City fan. Do not appoint Wayne Rooney. Listen to the Birmingham City fans. Some of the tweets directed at Tom Brady at TB12. And then there were more with stronger language involved, according to our friends at The Guardian. And now that they've sacked John Eustace after a win, unsure, and this is the key paragraph in all of this. Unsure how much influence Brady as a minority owner has over managerial decisions, but his high profile makes him an obvious target for fans' anger. So, when you're staring at that. Oh, morning, Jarrett.
Morning, John. What happened now?
Oh, just people lashing out. Opening kickoff is people lashing out at Birmingham about don't hire Wayne Rooney. And just because our manager who saved us from relegation last year is 6th and he won on the weekend and they're within shouting distance of playoff spots and things like that. They're in the promotion playoff right now, by the way. But yeah, now that the guy has been fired, everybody's like, don't you hire Wayne Rooney. And they might be a little too late on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little too late on that. Like I said, it's supposed to be happening later this week. So, and people are misdirecting their anger at Tom Brady as a minority owner in all of this, like it's his fault. But like the American group that brought in the American ex-quarterback as a minority owner, it's the quarterback's fault that they're firing the manager and maybe wanting to bring in a big splash by their own admission, which is what they wanted to do, and they bring in they're bringing in Wayne Rooney, allegedly, officially, perhaps, maybe by the end of the week. So let's
Well,
blame
we'll see
the
what happens.
American quarterback in the American ownership group. So now that you've had an extra day to kind of sit through things, I do want to talk to you about VAR because Ange had some things had to say. Ange is not a fan of VAR, and neither are Scandinavians. And I wanted to bring Ange's thoughts to the table with you when it comes to VAR. But now that you've had an extra day to kind of think about Atlanta United and Columbus, what sticks in your mind with this particular match?
Columbus is a really good team.
Yes, they are.
And Gonzalo Pineda talked about the tactical little quirks that they deployed and stuff they showed that they hadn't really shown a lot of. A lot of that goes to what their staff was able to put together, what they were able to throw, and then Atlanta did what they had to do, which was adjust. And it's one of those things where I think first 20, 25 minutes of that game, it's back and forth, it's fun.
Yep.
It's open. Columbus takes control to 45, and it felt like one of those things where just get this to halftime and make your adjustments. And they did. They got it to halftime. They were to make some adjustments. Columbus still had control of the game, but I thought Atlanta was more dangerous on the counter. And then you give up a goal on a deflection. I know people wanted Josatu to slide. He got a touch to the ball. Just fell to Cucho Hernandez, which is who you don't want to fall to.
No.
It sucks because you had defended pretty decently well, and when they were able to get through you, as they have done through a lot of teams this year, Brad Guzan made saves. He did his job. Everyone did their job. You're able to make changes after that, kind of shift the game. Columbus, I know Columbus fans were not too happy because it's another situation where they really fade late in games, like a lot. Like it's becoming a problem, and it's if they don't succeed in the playoffs, that's going to be why. It's because they can't close games out. If that sounds familiar, yeah, it's just a different kind of problem. But they struggled to close it out. Kevin Molino did them really no favors. And what was impressive for me is that like Atlanta's able to scrap a point out of it. It's the fact that you had to go to like plan C or D to do so because you start making changes. You go to two up top when you bring in Jamal to play with Yorgos, who had an off night. He'll tell you he should have had at least one goal because Mosquera put a ball right on the spot for him. It just went off the top of his foot.
Right.
But Jamal gets concussed, allegedly concussed. It looks like he was concussed. I should say that. I shouldn't say he was. I think he was not diagnosed at the moment with concussion, but he looked like he did not know who his parents' names were when he got off the field.
Yeah.
But you ended up having to go to Miguel Berry. You were still able to create something, and you still snatched a point. When you weren't able to really execute your plan, and you're able to snatch a point, I feel a little bit better about it than I think I would have otherwise. I mean, if you had gotten a goal with what you had on the field before that, cool, okay, you made your changes, you did your job. When you made your changes and you executed how you wanted to, and you were set up to close the game out the way you wanted to, then somebody gets concussed and you have to go to third choice striker and third choice body on the field, and you're still able to get something out of it because Jordan Morris and Julian Gressel don't know how to man mark.
No.
You'll take it. And I don't know who it was. I don't want to say it was one or the other. I know they were on either side of Miles on that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Morris kind of drifted up away from him, so he wasn't going to get to that header. Also, Miles can jump out of the building. and Gressel never went with him. I think, and like I've looked at it a couple times. I want to do it again actually, because if you go look at that goal, Miles starts offside and then takes a step back on, and then Columbus's line steps at the same time, so he's onside.
Mhm.
And I don't know if Gressel thought he was still off because he lets him go, but Morris is on the front side of him.
Yep.
But Morris isn't attached to him, but because he's too far away, which means that Miles has a free header. Um, Also, it would have been incredibly hilarious if Miles had pushed that wide
Oh,
because Brad Guzan was crashing the post. That would have been
yes,
a
he
tap in for Brad
was.
Guzan. If Brad had scored that goal, he might have let a ticker tape parade around the field, and we might never hear the end of it. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. I, I'd love to ask both of them, or have to ask Wilfred Nancy who what it was, because it felt like Gressel thought he was off and maybe thought Morris had him. Because the second he goes up for it and heads the ball, Gressel's hand is in the air. And before the kick, he was right. Miles started off and then came back onto the line, stepped. So between those two, he's on side, not by a lot, but he's on side. And I wonder if he thought if he's up there, Aiden's got him on the front side, and
Right.
Aiden Morris didn't stick to it. Is what it is. It happens.
Yes.
You see that. You see that in late game communication where everyone's tense and you're trying to see it out. But man, that's the thing that's going to hurt Columbus is they are not a great team late in games. Because this is not the first time they have dropped points that they absolutely feel like they should have dropped. But yeah, ultimately the fact you had to go to like your third plan and you're able to scrap something because of you get the free kick because of some brilliant play between Mosquera and Brooks Lennon. Brooks Lennon was huge on the night. Brooks Lennon in the first half was a monolith of a human being, and just making blocks and with his face and with his
Yes.
feet,
Yes.
left and right, and just putting in yeoman's work. But that's one of those games you're going to have to weather in the postseason. Because yeah, it feels like, and I know a lot of the talk was like there's still a gap between Atlanta and the top four. Like, well, yeah. This week's a weird one to judge that off of because the Philly game we know was mired in controversy.
Yeah.
Um, and the
That's an
Columbus,
awfully nice way to put it.
well, and the Columbus game was Columbus was better than you on the day.
Yeah.
So that one to me is a better measuring stick than the Philly game was, just because the Philly game was so controversy ridden. Um, But if Atlanta can do that, which is to say, not be the better team on the day and still keep it level, then you're in decent shape
You find a way.
going into the playoffs. Yeah, just keep it level. Just find a way to not let them get away. Then you're in decent shape because all of the teams in the playoffs, no team is without their flaws, and that includes Atlanta. Obviously, Atlanta
Yeah.
has plenty of flaws. Um, I'm going to be interested to see how all these teams deal with their stuff in the playoffs. Like, how does Columbus deal with playoff games where they're up late? How does Philadelphia deal with a game when it's tight and they're having trouble finishing, which they've done most of the season? Atlanta, we talking with Rich about it. Like, Atlanta was an outlier in that respect, because he had mentioned that it was them scoring those 3 goals in 8 minutes was a big deal because they had been so wasteful with their chances.
Yep.
Um, Cincinnati's had to do a lot of comebacks this year. I still think Orlando feels like the most fun and dangerous of them, but yeah, it's a draw. It's a draw at home. You don't really love those. You're not getting top four now,
No.
which sucks. But I don't just pin it on these two games when it comes to the top four issue for Atlanta. Um, what I pin it to is early in the season, you had a number of games, Toronto on the road being one of them, Toronto here, um, New England here. You had a number of games where you let 3 points get away,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't do that.
No.
You cannot. And that's why, and I know when you get late in the season, it's really easy to sit here and to be thinking about like, okay, well, we got to do A, B, and C in these last few games to do this. Like, well, this is why if you take care of business early in the season, those games do matter. It's not a matter of like games later in the season count more. Like they all count for 3 points, 1 points, 0 points.
Right.
And when you are in those positions to win and you don't early in the season, this is where it comes back to bite you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's those let ups, those issues early in the season, that are one of the reasons that you're kind of you're going to be on the road. You're going to be playing 2 road games and 1 home game, if necessary, a second road game.
Yes.
But that's the reason, is because before the international window, before you remade this roster, you let stuff get away from you. And we were talking about it in the press box during the game that like it feels like it is very well set up for next year because you're going to continue to improve the team. Where? Good question. We'll find out. Um, but you're in good shape for next year.
Yeah.
And I think mentally you're in good shape. But yeah, it sucks not to be top 4. It sucks to drop to drop points to Columbus. Great to rescue a point. But you have to be able to play like that in the playoffs. Like if you're not going to be at your best, you have to just grind something out of it.
We got into the discussion yesterday about a bit of what to possibly look for Atlanta United next season. But the biggest thing that I had commented on, and I do want to, and since you mentioned flaws, I want to go through the Eastern Conference, and I want to ask you about flaws. But the prospect of having a full winter workout schedule and a full training camp with probably Shande Silva. I mean, they will active. Unless there's something.
You're almost certainly keeping him unless something weird happens.
Yeah, that you're gonna buy Shande Silva. You're gonna activate the buy clause. You're gonna buy Saba down, but to have a full preseason training camp and runway with that front line of Shande, Gigi, and Saba, a full training camp with Tristan Muyumba in your midfield. That is stuff for me that I'm looking forward to get into the 2024 season, to see that front line become, adjusted to one another to where you're not having to think. You see the flashes of the relationships, but you don't have to think about it as much. It's like, okay, he wants it here. I've got to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. But one of the biggest things that I was looking forward to the most is that offseason leading into 24, where everyone is under the tent from the absolute beginning.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with training this year, the training camp. The world's opened back up from what I think we were used to for the last few years. Hopefully, you're able to do more. Hopefully, you're able to travel more to take on more challenging opponents and do challenging preseasons. We've talked about in the past, where if you can have those tougher preseasons, you can gear yourself up. You don't want to. I don't love like the idea of just playing like 4th division teams and college teams or scrimmages or whatnot. Great, those are fine, and especially they're great for those teams and the colleges. They're great for them, and they're a huge benefit to them. And I think we should do them, but you can't just do those.
Right.
You have to have preseason against other legitimate teams that will push you, that will challenge you, that will knock you around a bit. Remember, you have to work, and you might lose, and it's okay. Like losing in preseason, that's what preseason is for, man.
Yep. A couple of other questions that are a part of this element of the discussion. Hutch wants to say that he wanted desperately for the team to improve prior to the last trade window. They have, but still need to gel as a team, looking forward to an even more improved team next year. Abby, a full preseason training welcomed. Hope you pick up a few defensive players. Michael Head, if Almada moves on, it's a huge hole to fill. And he reemphasizes huge. I would also venture, Michael, that it would be tougher to find someone out in the open market, more like Yorgos Giacomakis. I think that you can find the next big playmaker. I think that those can be found if you invest, and you anticipate that you will, if Almada leaves and you get the anticipated payday that's attached to it with the transfer, then you can take that money and reinvest. I would think that having someone at the top is more difficult to find. I think that finding someone like Gigi, that's more difficult to find. I think that you can find those players that can develop into a Thiago Almada playmaker type. I think you can find those folks. But yes, it would be a challenge to the front office. Go for it, Jarrett.
And no, yeah, Michael's right. Like if Almada's gone, and he might be, we don't know.
Yeah.
Might not be gone until the summer. Yeah, that's going to be a huge hole to fill. How you fill it will be interesting.
Mhm.
Like as we've seen Atlanta go in this last year or so, go away from like U22 aged guys, and look, Almada's a damn unicorn, man.
Yes.
He's insane. I don't know where you go for the next one. Where you might go for your next big number 10, but that's no, Michael's right. I mean, it's going to be a huge hole to fill,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have somebody who can do that job.
Yeah, no doubt. David with a public service. David says that sorry he's late. It turns out the reopened Ponce Krispy Kreme is very popular on grand reopening day.
So, and God, I forgot that one burned down. And to Michael's point, it's hard to replace 17 assists.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll have to replace 17 because I would note that a bunch of those came earlier in the season when you weren't getting production on the wings.
Right.
You were not. You were not getting production from Tristan Muyumba or from Mateo Setu, who has found a new engine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't. I'm not trying to downplay replacing Almada at all.
No.
But you are going to if you have Saba or Mosquera and Shande and Wolf, however you want to break it out, them you have like functioning, productive wings. I think take some of that raw number off of it.
Yeah.
As far as the magic, yeah, man, the magic's the part you gotta like the insane skill and know-how and IQ. That's the part you gotta replace. And replacing potentially the defensive side of it. Because if Miles gets an offer in Europe that's comparable, I don't blame Miles one bit if he wants to go to Europe. If he decides, if Miles decides, hey man, this is my chance to go to Europe and possibly play in Champions League, Europa League, Europa Conference League, whatever the hell, or a big league, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah. You know who they need to grab as a part of that fee, the anticipated fee from Thiago Almada, Valentin Barco.
Yeah, I floated that the other day. Valentin Barco, if y'all haven't watched him, Mataflow's not here to throw things. Gustavo's not here to throw things either. Problem with Valentin Barco is while he has a $10 million release clause, you walk down there and put that $10 million release clause on their table, they're going to take it to Europe and say, "Hey, Atlanta came in offered this. They're going to get him."
Oh yeah.
You don't want them to get him.
Manchester City will come and say, "Yeah, okay, fine, and we'll get into our wall."
Manchester's going to loan him out, but anybody, like it doesn't have to just be City. Like it'd be Newcastle.
Yeah.
Could be Lens for all I know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Valentin.
Point being, like I would love for Valentin Barco to come here. I don't expect it to happen because they're going to just be able to say, "Hey, Atlanta wants him. What are you guys going to do about it?" To the rest of the world,
the rest of humanity,
and look, you can show up in different places. You went to Scotland and found a striker who, and to Bam's point, Yorgos isn't going to get the Golden Boot, sadly. I don't think he has 5 goals in him against Cincinnati. No. It would be hilarious if he pulled a Temu Pukki.
Yes.
I think it's going to be Boyanga, and Boyanga will deserve it. Dude's had an amazing season. I very much look forward to year 2 of Yorgos in Atlanta, again, with functioning wings and a functioning 10.
Yes.
So he can wrap up his 3rd Golden Boot in 3 different seasons, because once again, Yorgos has played a fraction of the minutes of everyone else and has put up stupid numbers, and still somehow left goals on the field.
Yes.
Thanks again, Celtic, because guess what Celtic could use right now? It's a big-bodied number 9.
Yeah, it would be. And David, you're not wrong. It would be the boat race 2.0 with a new Parko.
Boat watch 2.0. Yeah.
Parko.
That's how you got it. That's how, if you did it, that's how you got to do it, though. It's got to just be like, it's just got to be like a 1-sentence post from the team saying, we'd like to welcome Barco to Atlanta. You just have to leave it wide open enough just to see how many computers and phones you can break in and get.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man. Like I said, the thing that gets me more is if you're looking in the future, and I know we're looking past the international break, playoffs, the trade window extravaganza.
Yes.
That is beautiful. Like, that is the fulcrum of this league.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Like, I'm just worried about how you build out that defense next year, because I don't know how you feel, John. I don't know how everyone else feels. I don't expect Miles back. I'd love, not to say I don't want him back. I would love to have Miles back. I don't expect him back.
Right.
Because I think he's going to get an offer from Europe. And I think if he can do some really good work with the U.S. national team, it will bolster that even more. And he can have a good playoff with Atlanta, a good at least 2 games, maybe more. I really think he'll get that opportunity. I am very much a believer in the rest of your center back room for what they are. Luis Abraham looks like the Luis Abraham who was at Velez.
Yeah.
Who is the dude that they did not want to sell, and they only sold him because Europe came calling and they kind of got their hand forced. And then Juanjo is third center back. That's fine.
You got Noah Cobb developing too.
Well, that's the thing. That's the other part of the equation, man, is I'm very interested to see what 2024 Noah Cobb looks like. Yep. There were some good and some not so great moments this year with MLS Next Pro, and we've seen him have some amazing games. So I want to see what happens with Noah Cobb going into next season.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll find out.
I want to see what's up with Luke Brennan. I want to see what's up with Nicholas Firmino. And that to me is just some of the highlights out of Atlanta United too. I mean, obviously Luke's got a homegrown deal. You've got to make a decision on Nick. And then who else wants to step up? We talk about Noah, but I also am interested in Luke and Nick and anybody else from the twos that would.
Well, that's going to be part of it with the wing side of it, with Luke coming into the fray. Because I don't know Derek Etienne's contract situation, but I imagine he's very much the odd man out. Because you still have Tyler Wolff, who has made an amazing case for himself. Machope Chol might be that similar if you got to make a choice. Unfortunately, I think Machope might be on the lower in there, not based off of talent, but based off the fact that the poor kid can't seem to stay on the field.
Yeah,
he can't seem to stay healthy, because when he was healthy this year, Machope Chol looked like the kind of depth wing you really like to have.
Yep.
But man, I don't know, man. Edwin Mosquera looks like a damn problem right now.
Yeah.
You have Sabi, you'll have Shande probably. I cannot imagine a world in which Shande doesn't get that option picked up unless something weird happens. But you have Mosquera, you have Tyler Wolff, and I think Tyler Wolff has proven himself more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's Etienne, and then if you really if somebody else has to go, maybe it's Chol, maybe you loan him down to the twos or something. I don't know, which would suck, because I really like Machope Chol.
Yeah.
And he's a genuinely good dude, which plays a role into it. Keeping guys around like that on your roster to be positive influences in the locker room. But these are things you got to discuss in the off season, and then I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah. Your 23s, the end of the calendar year,
Mm-hmm.
according to our friends at Transfermarkt. And this does not include. This is like the end of deals. They tack on the option years, and they include that to the end of the contract. Aiden, Westberg, Brad is listed at the end of.
I think Aiden. I don't know for sure. I don't know what the status is.
Yeah.
I feel like Aiden going to stay in Memphis feels like a good fit. Because I don't know if people remember Aiden's in Memphis right now, playing for 901 in USL.
Yep.
Actually had an assist, if I'm not mistaken, the other night.
Yep.
Or a game or two ago. But yeah, man, I'm wondering if Aiden just stays in USL and applies his trade up there and tries to make the jump to MLS elsewhere.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Derek Etienne is listed as a multi-year contract through 25 options, 26 and 27. So your 23s.
Maybe you look at a mutual.
Yeah, mutual
parting.
Yeah.
Because I know everyone thinks about things in the sense of the buyout.
Right.
But it wouldn't be the first time we've seen the mutual parting of ways. Hell, we saw it with Atlanta and Emerson Hyndman, who was also in Memphis.
Yes.
Memphis, the land of you played for Atlanta? Come on over.
Well, classy being there. That's a runway.
Yeah, it does. It helps with familiarity, and it's a style that works for him, I guess. But I guess I'm just interested to see how it how it shakes out.
Yeah.
For that. Go ahead.
McFadden, Westberg, Gazan, but Gazan I think has options for 1 and 2 more years. Ozzy, Clement Diop, Shande Silva, Sadic, Hosechu, Miles, Jackson Conway, Purata with the loan, Firmino, Miguel Berry, Ibarra, who's out on loan, Luke Brennan, who's coming up as a homegrown, and then that's your 23s, according to our friends at Transfermarkt.
And I don't have any idea about how you deal with some of those guys. Like I know this was a point of contention Saturday, where people got real in their damn feelings real fast. I don't know what the solution is for Brad.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you're keeping him because he was captain, and I think Brad, it's one of those that you might, and this is why we talked about like a week or two ago, the Josh Cohen thing. When that happened, and what it made me think of was, I wondered if Atlanta was getting kind of in place, thinking, hey, we're gonna bring in somebody to challenge Brad for that one, and that just kind of felt like something you might see.
Yeah,
and we'll see. It's hard to pinpoint that right now.
Yeah. So that's your 23s that you're looking at as a part of this discussion. I wanted to get into the discussion about weaknesses because you had mentioned that, and I wanted to have you and everybody kind of look down the Eastern Conference. While we know where Atlanta's coming from, I wanted to look at right now the other playoff teams. And we might end up having to look at most of the Eastern Conference right now, short of Miami and Toronto. And
can we just mention how hilarious it is that right now, as we sit here, that DC is sitting in the last playoff spot, but they're technically eliminated?
Yes,
it's amazing.
Yes.
I love it so much. It's just so damn weird.
Yes, absolutely, it is. It's like we're in the barn. We're in the playoffs, but folks are going to pass us by because of how things have laid out. All right. So when I mentioned Cincinnati weakness, what is their weakness to you?
Falling behind. A lot of times we've seen Cincinnati. I mean, they did it against Atlanta, where they have struggled, and then struggled at the start of a game,
right,
and then proceeded to hit the gas late. We talked about this when they passed with Orlando, man. it is a hard living. It's a hard living to make doing that.
Yeah.
Hard way to live your life. It's possible. It's tough on you. And in the playoffs, it's even tougher because teams get more pragmatic. It gets more cagey. They're not going to get as open. They benefited, like the Atlanta game, for instance, they benefited from the fact that Atlanta was very willing to just like engage and correctly do so, but engage in a in basically a wide ass open game
Yes.
of transition, which is where Cincinnati thrives.
Yes.
But as it gets cagier, teams might not be willing to do that. That's where, for me, it gets very interesting with Cincinnati. Is if they fall behind in the playoffs and they're playing a team that gets really cagey and decides we're not going to come out to play, what are you going to do about it?
Hoof it. Exactly.
I mean, but why? But they also have Lucho Acosta. You also have the MVP of the damn league,
Mm-hmm.
and he better win the damn MVP. If he doesn't, I got problems with people. He 110% should be the MVP of the league. He's had an outstanding season. You have him, so you don't even have to hoof it. But if you can try and squeeze him
Mm-hmm.
and cut out his space,
Yeah.
it could be interesting.
Yes.
I say all that also acknowledging, yeah, they won the Shield. They're really damn good, man.
Yeah. 13-2-1 at home. Weakness, Orlando. Oscar Pereira.
In the past, maybe, but he hasn't been as pragmatic. Oscar may have learned something. I don't know.
That's the thing about the fact that we're having to think about weaknesses for this version of Orlando. That's
talented, maybe naivete.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Philly, weakness.
Finishing. Where's Rich when I need him? Because Rich and I talked about it's that thing where they have struggled to finish games.
Yeah.
And not just to finish games, but like they have struggled to finish offensive playing. Like struggled to finish and put the ball in the back of the net.
Right.
It's been an issue for a large chunk this season for them. Can they actually do it now? Can they do it when it matters? Philadelphia last year was one that, like, up or down, didn't matter if they were winning. It didn't matter if they were winning. Didn't matter if they were losing. They could cause you problems. Can they still do that?
I don't think they're the same club. I really don't.
They're not, but they can still be a problem. Especially if they got in a game with Cincinnati. I'll tell you, man. If they get in a game with Cincinnati, and they get the lead on Cincinnati, and then they just decide like, hey, we're gonna ish house this thing to the moon, and Cincinnati like takes a hook, line, and sinker. Oh, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you about the problems, for they are plentiful.
Yes, there are. Columbus, weakness.
Late game. I mean, they're Abby, the Phillies where they are because their goalie defensive line is weak. It hasn't been as good. And they got decisions to make in the offseason too, by the way. For Cincinnati, man, like they're not as good in late game situations. They're just not. They will punish you in the middle of the game, like absolutely ruthless. As we saw, like they peppered Brad Guzan, they peppered Atlanta's defense. Wilfred Nancy is a very good coach. He will set them up to punish you. But that being said, late in games, it seems to be an issue for them, and they don't want I can imagine them getting into a situation where it gets late in a game, they give up a goal. Like imagine if they play the game they played against Atlanta.
Right.
Where they generate chances, then they give something up at the death, and all of a sudden you end up in extra time against a team that's got all the momentum, and you've already made changes. It's not that clean cut, man. It's going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Does that mean they'll always be in that position? No. And look, playoffs are cagey, man. Columbus, the first round, could go out, whoever they play, and drop 3 spot on them and be feeling real good about life. Like, totally a possible thing that could happen.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
New England, weakness. Themselves.
Gestures wildly to everything.
Exactly. Since we talk Atlanta on a daily basis, I'll skip Atlanta. Nashville, weakness.
What are you gonna do if Hani Mukhtar gets put in a box? Because like again, they're so damn Hani Mukhtar dependent.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously so. What are you gonna do?
Because he's our talisman, Jarrett.
But you have to have some, like, Sam Sturridge was supposed to be that guy, and I think Sam Sturridge has been banged up. So I don't want to just say that Sam Sturridge hasn't been good.
But you haven't had a Surridge substitute. You haven't had anybody pick up that slack.
I mean, then they're the same team they were before. Like, it's still the same team that it was before Surridge got there.
Yeah.
When he's not out there, which sucks for him, and it sucks for Nashville because they wanted Surridge to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for him to be that guy, when he's not able to stay on the field consistently. But I don't know what they're going to do, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how New England is that annoying team that, man, if everything goes right, like Hani Mukhtar just absolutely catches damn fire, they could 110% decide to win a couple rounds in the playoffs and cause problems if Hani Mukhtar just catches fire. And Joe says no, and Walker Zimmerman does his thing. And John McNaughton minimizes the chaos. They could, but it feels like the delta in outcomes for Nashville is higher than it is for other teams.
Montreal, weakness.
The road.
The
road. Also, I don't love the style in the playoffs. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I don't love their style in the playoffs.
I mean, 2-12-2 Montreal on the road this year.
And they've been bad.
Yes. We're skipping DC because they're not making the postseason.
Correct.
Red Bulls, weakness.
Inconsistency like a mofo. That Atlanta game is like the most amazing outlier. Yeah.
Fire, weakness. A lack of somebody to be paired with not so big Shaq to help out with your offense.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. You don't need me.
Charlotte, weakness.
Consistency again. Like, again, all these teams at the bottom here, you're talking about teams that are wildly inconsistent. Also, what are you going to do with what are you actually going to do with Swiderski and Capetti? Like, how are you going to line this up? I have questions.
NYC, weakness. 1-8-8 on the road.
Not being at home.
1-8-8. That's a special kind of bad on the road.
Man, that's another place where after the season, if you're looking for like Black Monday, like somebody getting fired, that's a place to look.
It's Latanzio. I mean, right now we're at 9 that have either shifted.
Wait, I thought Inchy was 8. Was Inchy 9?
No, Rooney 9.
Oh, well, he wasn't fired though.
But Rooney leaving, so we've had changes. We've had 9 changes of manager, either resignation or dismissal. You could end up with 13. Apparently, Rodolfo Borrell is happy with Josh Wolf. Adrian Healy came up with the numbers yesterday for Josh, and you're like, okay, sure, whatever you say about keeping him. And let me get the numbers from Healy real quick that he mentioned yesterday. He goes, regardless of where you stand on the issue, by the global standards of modern pro soccer management, Josh Wolf is extraordinarily lucky to still be a coach of Austin FC after 3 seasons on the job. A record of 37, 52, and 21 after 110 games, and all comps would be fatal in 99% of cases. By pledging to keep Wolf, ownership is effectively saying, quote, "We believe Josh is a 1%er. He is that special." That belief, this is Adrian Healy. "That belief is both brave and extremely unorthodox. Is it based on something tangible or merely on a shared history or friendship? I don't know, but we are going to find out."
Yeah, man. So here's the thing about it for me. Like, I'm assuming with him, the issue is you looked at year one. That's an expansion year.
Yeah.
We'll write that off. Expansion year, we're not gonna lose sleep over that. You look at year two, man, you had one of the best teams in MLS. You had an MVP caliber performance from Sebastian Juicy.
Mm-hmm.
You had a terrifying place to play, and you were really good for most of the season.
Yeah.
And it looked like something amazing to build off of. Year three hasn't been as good. Maybe you're thinking, hey, let's see if one more year, if year two or year three was the real thing. I would imagine that Wolf's leash is going to be pretty short going into 24, though.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned a Black Monday. I could see Latanzio. I could see Cushing. I could see, I could see Troy Lacine with Red Bulls not get the full-time gig, even though he's got a lot of folks who are in his corner. I could see Vanny. So that's 3, if not more. So that would get you to 12. Then you run into the idea of, is it Peter Vermes to make 13? Would Lacine make 13? So you're looking at 12 to 13 changes in one aspect or another. At the end of this year and leading into 24, Bam says if Wolf starts 0-2-3, he's gone.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Bam, this is like the vote of confidence that we hear about a lot. Bam says, when a club says the manager has full support of the board, they're about to be fired.
It's my favorite.
Yes, it is the vote of confidence. The
dreaded vote of confidence.
Dreaded vote of confidence that we discuss here. The conversation that Michael and I have been having in the Twitch pitch about what is it a player option or is it a team option? Most of the time it is a conversation that you come to a mutual understanding. But at the same time, if you sign a contract that has years, that's the player saying, I want years, and then we can add options. If the team said, if it's more years and less option, that probably comes from the player side. If it's less years and more option, that probably comes from the team side of things. So look at the length of contracts. But we certainly are missing a lot of legalese when it comes to Major League Soccer and cap and understanding of these things. It is one of the leagues where, because of all of the that's attached to everything, Major League Soccer needs to be more like the National Hockey League or those leagues that you can sit there and say, okay, here's my cap, here's my ceiling, here's my floor, what space do I have, how many years, what's the option, all these kinds of things. That's what, for me, selfishly, I'd like to have that kind of salary information from Major League Soccer available instead of just going to MLSplayers.org and looking at it from a yearly basis as to what the contract number actually is, but not having any perception or depth as to what it's going to lay out to be.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice. But you're not going to get that. So
no.
You're not. I mean, unless they are told they need to provide that information, you can wish in one hand and in the other, and let me know what happens first. You can have aspirations and dreams all day long. You ain't gonna get them.
No,
it's not how it works, man.
No.
But yeah, as far as Josh Wolf goes, is he able to actually put this together?
Yes.
Because I agree with everybody. Like if he doesn't start off really well, I guess it's time to go job hunting, and then we'll see, what they what they want to do. Like, who are they looking for? That kind of thing. We'll find out.
Yes. Yeah. Do you turn into a pumpkin and have to
Yes.
face the real world?
Yes.
Okay, so he does. And we'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you, sir. That's Jarrett for hour number 1. Hutch is absolutely correct. Quantum mechanics is easier to comprehend than MLS salary rules and restrictions. You are absolutely correct in that regard. Since it is hour number 2, since we turn over 10 o'clock, technically is hour number 2. It is not, we haven't quite hit 60 minutes of content, but we have certainly hit the new hour on the board. So I'm going to find my audio level here and see what kind of trouble we can get into and hit this and read a promo. Because you'll notice that when Jarrett first started, I realized that something was missing after reading the opening kickoff with the QR code. I realized I needed to put up my Eliminize sign. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's Eliminize service. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos, they've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Eliminize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Thank you, Rick. Makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment we like that these days. I know what that does. Offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either under the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when we reach under the sink or above us in the cupboard and take the masking agent out and spray it in the room, there's a reason it's called a masking agent, because all it does is mask the odor. It does not attack the problem like our friends at Eliminize Service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. One place you need to go is the website. This is when I grab my pen. Eliminize.com is the website, but do us a favor here at SDH. After the .com, go /Atlanta, so they know what part of the world that they are addressing, that you are addressing them from, so they can help you with your problem. Full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, Eliminize.com /Atlanta. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. Oh, okay. I thought it was immediate, but I guess it's not. There's a fade function in the background music. I thought it was going to fade it like 10, but no, it fades it at the beginning and not at beginning and the end, and not when you call for it. You know, you think it's like I'm thinking that there was something there, but then there wasn't. You know, I was mistaken. I was teased. I got teased by our board. Bam giving us the cricket update in the 1-day winner-take-all format that they're currently employing. Pakistan are 61-2 after 13 overs, need 284 from 37. So that's a boatload of pitches. They've got another 200 and some odd pitches. So basically an inning is 6 pitches, or a half inning is 6 pitches. Bam mentioned Denny Bouanga about MVP. The question would be like this for me in a situation like that. When you said Denny Bouanga says hi, I will pose this question, and this is how I look at MVP voting. If that particular individual was not with the club, would they still be doing what they're doing? And so that, for me, is where I would agree with Jarrett about Lucho Acosta and not Denny Bouanga, because I still think that LAFC would be just as successful without Bouanga, but I don't think FC Cincinnati would be as successful if they didn't have Lucho Acosta, because they wouldn't have that. Denny Bouanga, for me, is the dude up top. You know, Brandon Vasquez by comparison. So Bouanga would be getting all kinds of feeds from the midfield, from Carlos Vela, from the wings, etc. Who would be giving Brandon Vasquez that kind of service? Bam's confident saying take Bouanga out. LAFC would not make the playoffs. So that's my approach when it comes to, and it might be Eastern Conference bias on my part, but I would say that that LAFC would make the playoffs if they didn't have Denny Bouanga, because they probably would find somebody else, not just giving you those numbers, though. Maybe you could find Timu Puki. They found Timu Puki and put him in that offense. Morning, Knicks. But the comments from hour number one. I know that we were all talking about the game last night with the Braves and with the Phillies. Hutch signed Eden Hazard. You don't want that. You don't want that at all. Let the man retire and have fun. Michael Head, who followed him at Chelsea, injuries just killed the career late, but at Chelsea, what a player, just amazing, best player in the EPL for several seasons. No doubt about it. Now, and this was when we were going through Transfermarkt, and we were discussing, I think at one point we were discussing Eden Hazard and what he has and has not been doing the last handful of years. Eden Hazard, who is now officially at Retired FC, listed as such. Here's what Eden Hazard did the last handful of seasons. Here's his rundown, stats, all seasons. This is from our friends at Transfermarkt. In the 22-23 season, Real Madrid was in 5 different competitions. He played 10 matches. Didn't even clear 400 minutes. He played 194 minutes in La Liga with 6 goals. He had 4 actions in Champions League in 131 minutes, but in 5 different competitions for Real Madrid, he only played 400 minutes. Only 400 minutes. The year before that, it was 21-22. He played 4 different competitions in 21-22, and it was 23 games, 23 matches. He was in the squad for 29 for La Liga, played in 18. Then in 2021, 4 separate matches, or 4 separate competitions, 21 competitions, 4 goals. He had 1 goal in Champions League last year, had 1 goal in the Copa del Rey 2 years ago, had 4 goals in different competitions, La Liga and Champions League in 2021, 19-20, Champions League and La Liga, 22 competitions. He cleared 1,000 minutes. 21, he quit in the 2021 season in the 4 different competitions, 807 and 89. So 896 minutes in 2021, 21-22, 903 minutes, most of that in La Liga. And like I said, 22-23, he didn't crack 400 minutes. Then with his time that Michael knows him from at Chelsea, really his last true year of competition, 37 matches in the Premier League. Then he played 8 in Europa for 45, 5 in the EFL Cup to get you 50, 52 matches played in the 18-19 season. But yeah, the last season he played over 1,000 minutes was 19-20, and that was in 16 matches in La Liga. But yeah, 18-19, 16 goals, 12 the year before that. But yeah, he was not the same player the last handful of seasons. But Eden Hazard is now at left wing for Retired FC at the age of 32. Morning 4 card. And I know that we were discussing backlines and things Hutch is maintaining for the offseason to chase after maturity, discipline, and anticipation skills that Parkey and Larry brought to their respective lines, in Hutch's opinion. And I'm hoping that we can catch up with, I think it is Michael's turn on Friday, and I'm hoping that we can catch up with Cap about the very busy weekend that he had. So we'll catch up with him about the spike, about Anton, about the weekend, what it was like to come back, all those kinds of things. 4 card, we talked about the weaknesses of the rest of the teams in the Eastern Conference. Talked about Wayne Rooney in Birmingham City and how people are yelling at Tom Brady. The MVP race we are staring at. So there's a lot of different stuff. And by the way, let's see. All right. So since it is a birthday, and I'm trying to find. Well, let's go here. Oh crap! This is what happens when you sit there and you think you plan something out and you don't jack up a volume. So let's try this again. Happy birthday, Jordan, since we don't have birthday music. It might be in the public sphere, but we'll see. But yes, happy birthday, Jordan. Well done. Thanks for being a part of everything, all 7+ seasons that we've been at this. So, yes, the Terminus Legion travel coordinator gets a birthday shout out. We did talk a little bit about the Braves game and how things can change in that building off of one pitch, and just the business that's attached to backup. Fundamentals. We all learned about fundamentals. We all learned about fundamentals when we were playing our sports growing up. Austin Riley, fundamentals. Back up the throw into the infield. That got Bryce Harper doubled up in that end of the game last night. Once again, reminder, tonight on the network, and the match starts at 7 o'clock. So if you are in Brookhaven for Emory and Oglethorpe on the men's side, one of the longest standing rivalries in the Southeast, Oglethorpe and Emory. Emory goes to Oglethorpe, and we will have pre, half, and post. We're going to blow it up here at SDH. I'll be there. Jason will be there. Kick is at 7 o'clock. Pre-game show, 6:30. But no, it'll be fun to be out there at Oglethorpe and give everybody the taste of what's going on with the Oglethorpe and Emory matchup. Could be kind of chippy. So it'll be great to catch up with coaches, players, and everybody that's attached to this particular rivalry. So 7 o'clock kick, pregame 6:30-ish on the network. So set your notifications. Oglethorpe and Emory. Jason will call it. I'll have your pre, half, and post. And Atlanta Soccer tonight will be going from Oglethorpe as well. So it'll be a very, very busy night for soccer in Northeast Atlanta inside the perimeter. On the network, pregame show for Oglethorpe and Emory. It'll be up at Oglethorpe. Kick at 7 o'clock. We'll have your pregame starting at 6:30. Busy night, great night for college rivalries when it comes to soccer. So if you are in Brookhaven, come on by. If you're not in Brookhaven, listen to the call for a very, very chippy match. Traditional rivals with Oglethorpe and Emory, and that is tonight on the network. So, give it a listen. Other traffic, as we're sitting here looking at traffic patterns, your USL programming will be out later today. Other work permitting. If not, it'll be out tomorrow. USL Championship, USL League One, and MLS Next Pro. MLS Next Pro is down to its conference finals, and we will tell you how all of that happened. So USL Championship, USL League One, MLS Next Pro, that programming will be coming up on the network in short order. And as I sit here and try and figure out what else is going on, Wednesday, hopefully Dylan Butler can rejoin us at 10. Bart is on notice for reffing down here in U.S. national team news coming up at 10:30 tomorrow. Nico Moreno joining us at 10:30 tomorrow. And Friday, Prim and Proper will be up on the network for your 3D, your Drew Dickinson diatribe. And he'll go over everything from his Manchester United perspective to start things off, and he'll let you know what's on his mind. 9:05 start. 9:30, hopefully Friday, our friends from Beyond Goals. Like I said, it should be Michael Parkhurst, and we can catch up with Cap and find out about his weekend past. 10 o'clock, we'll have an abbreviated weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. If our friend, if our friend Jessica Charman, the busiest person in the business outside of Jason Longshore, so if the golden ticket status of Jessica Charman can help us out, we might have another opportunity where we can discuss what's going on with her beloved Reading, and it ain't pretty. The Reading owner, Dai Young, and so Bart already, 0 weird referee decisions this week. What about the reffing in the WSL where she gave 11 cards, 2 of them red, and then there was also the review overseas, and they're looking at, and I want to go over that. So, here's my request list. I want to talk about pro and repercussions. I want to talk about 11 yellows in a WSL game, and then also the idea of, what was the third thing? Oh, the reviewing themselves. And where was it? Was it in the Telegraph or was it in the Guardian? Where I think it might have been the Telegraph. But we'll keep an eye on all that. I think it was the Telegraph. I'll send. If I can find it, Bart, I'll send you the link. John Percy this morning at just before the show started. So Jess, I'm sure, is hopping up and down mad. Reading's under fire. Dai Young has rejected a takeover bid from Ginevra Associates, an investment group based in Luxembourg. When was the last time that we had anybody from Luxembourg engaged in any kind of ownership discussion? Ginevra have insisted they want to rescue the embattled League One club and are standing by their significant offer. And once again, Reading are struggling with severe financial problems under Young, have already been docked 4 points this season for failing to pay their players on time, neglecting to comply with an order to deposit funds in an account. Obviously, the guy doesn't care. The guy does not care. We've had 2 other instances in recent memory, like in the last week or two, Southend United and Scunthorpe, where it appears ownership might be taking over of those 2 teams that are in National League and beyond. Southend was right up there on the edge. Scunthorpe right up there on the edge. And it looks like they're going to be getting new owners. Reading's Dai Young, for whatever reason, and like I said, this is where Jess comes in and she can crash the show and she can break this down. Club's also under a transfer embargo for failing to pay their tax bill to the HMRC, His Majesty's Royalty and Customs. That's like the IRS. You never want HMRC attached to anything in England. You never do. Jess's Reading is. Ginevra, who also have offices in the United States, and since that is now made public, let's see, where is Ginevra Associates, by the way? Or at least the U.S. version of Ginevra. Ginevra Associates, a dynamic investment group. It's a reformer hedge fund dedicated to empowering its clients with access to unique and uncorrelated investment strategies with unparalleled transparency. The activist approach. Learn about our philosophy. With our flagship activist fund, widen your reach and access to attractive, uncorrelated income streams. It's time to look beyond traditional investments. Partnering with you. We prioritize open and effective communication with our investors. Our dedicated team is always available to answer questions, address feedback, and ensure our limited partners feel heard and valued. Our goal as a hedge fund is to identify distinctive investment opportunities where we can add value not just as a financial investor, but also as a reformer and activist. This is at the heart of our investment philosophy. They have a digital hub, and they've apparently been covered on the 4-letter. But, Two Park d'Activités Capellen 8308 Mammer, Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. I wonder what the tax haven is in Luxembourg. They are what they refer to as a reformer hedge fund, the home of distinctive ideas. I don't know about you, but that scares the loving ish out of me. Just saying. So, Dai Young, Ginevra was like, sure, we're in. And we're standing by our offer. It's probably like $2. $2. I want my $2. Bam. A-League's looking to improve VAR for the upcoming season. Good. Thank you for the link. Hedge fund who recently expressed interest in supplying investment to Manchester United and say their offer has been turned down. Statement sent to Telegraph Sport, quote, "We've worked swiftly to put this proposal together, considering the urgent situation at the club. Our main goal is to ensure the club's sustainability, empower the fan base, and address the points reduction situation. At this time, we're unable to provide specific details about the offer. We stand by our offer." All right, so let's take a peek at that statement. Our main goal is to ensure the club's sustainability. Cool. Empower the fan base. How are you going to do that? Address the point reduction situation. It's been addressed. It is irreversible. It is irreversible. You can't sit there, hey, we got new owners. Okay, we'll take the points off the board. I don't think you can do that. Unable to provide specific details about the offer, we stand by our offer. Why not? This sounds like pennies on the dollar. Understood other parties have held discussions with Reading over a possible takeover. Telegraph Sport revealed at the end of September that after missing another deadline for HMRC tax bill, Reading placed under restrictions and faced a fourth winding up order. Fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4. More than 3, not quite to 5. Dai Young remains under huge pressure to sell up after racking up 16 points in deductions for breaching financial rules based in China. Struggling to move money into England due to the government imposing limits on capital, and he was charged directly by the EFL in September with misconduct after he failed to deposit 125% of the wage bill into an allocated account. I don't see that changing. Reading is effed. And